Northeast band Venom showing us, just in case we've forgotten, that heavy metal is very popular in the Northeast. Well, with me are the three members of that great band. ABADDON, is it worth it doing a video?
Yeah, I don't think major record companies take that much notice now of, you know, tapes and things, and because they just get so many, you know, but I think a video gives you a little bit, you know, better idea.
The main reason we made it was for promotional purposes, like, and the thing is we don't do that many gigs because they're expensive to put on, so we thought we would do the video and we can show people what we're actually capable of, so we can go to promoters and say this is actually what you're buying, this is what you're paying for when we're going on tour in your country or whatever. So that was it.
Now at the moment you're very successful in America, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're #1 in the heavy metal charts in America, in New York in fact.
New York, yeah, in the independent heavy metal charts over there.
How come you've done so well?
I don't know. No musical taste whatsoever. No, it's
I like noise.
Aye, I think they're getting sick of Journey and Foreigner and everything in America. And there's a lot of US metal bands coming out now, like, you know, and I think they just seem to have latched onto us for some reason. Because we're glad, like, you know, keep it up, keep buying our records, make us rich.
Well, we've also got with us Steve from Satan. You've just brought a cassette out? How about that? How did that work out?
I was working at a studio, just a local studio, so we thought we'd get just bring out a cassette album with a few more tracks on, so you can tell more of what the music is of the band rather than just a single.
Now, just sort of looking at you all, heavy metal's a lot to do with the image, how you look. I think you're fairly conservative today, really, all things considered. A lot of people would say, though, that heavy metal is just a relic of the past, that it's really got very little to do with nowadays. What would you say to that?
No chance.
It's just done, man.
No, it's coming back a lot. I think they look at Venom and they think, oh, here's another band saying they're the biggest, the loudest, the heaviest, the fastest, but we are. Kitty Winkles.
Like they do on real TV. 5, 4. Here we go. We're here today to talk about one of the greatest metal bands of all time. If you were ever into metal at any time, if you aren't into metal and you were at one point, you were a fucking poser. But that aside, we're here to talk about the black metal gods, Venom, the rabid captor of bestial malevolence, the grandmaster of Hades and mayhem, and the barbaric guardian to the 7 gates of hell.
Yeah.
Of course I'm talking about Venom, the one and only Venom. And joining me today have Carl, live from San Antonio, Texas. Chris, live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And Andy Well, live from the UK. So it's good to have UK representation here to talk about Venom. So we'll get this kicked off. I guess I'll start. We could start just one at a time and kind of talk about, I guess, the first time you heard Venom, or maybe you saw something for Venom, or I guess your introduction to Venom, basically the first time you saw the name Venom or heard it. So since we have Andy joining us from England, we'll give him the honors of going first.
Oh, cheers. I'm just trying to think when I can't remember when I first heard of Venom. Basically, it was everything over in the UK was all passed on tape trading. So although I know the first Venom album, would have been released 81, wouldn't it? I'm not sure if I picked them up straight away. But when I heard them, I mean, Venom at the time in the UK, especially in Birmingham, it was a lot of punk and metal kids all coming together. And I remember, and really in Birmingham as well, we all had different places that we went to. So like all the punks and skins they had their few pubs, and then there was all the metalheads that had their pubs as well. But I remember the first time I saw Venom, I think it was at the Odeon in Birmingham, and it was mad really, because I was still sort of like, you know, madly into hardcore punk, and but it was just a weird place, a weird crowd, because, like, you know, there was punks and there was like metalheads just all going frigging mental basically. But I mean, bands like Venom, really, when I first heard them, I suppose in a way, with them being a UK band, I suppose we got exposed to them a little bit earlier and a little bit quicker. But they were just a breath of fresh air, really. You know, they were something that they were different. They were, you know, they were really exciting. They were really powerful. But as well, on a musical side of it, they were sort of like one of those bands as well that you could listen to and think, do you know what, I could do that, you know, because I mean, like, whereas in Venom the albums were absolutely brilliant at the time, when you look back on them and you can start picking them apart, can't you, really? And that's what I think the whole thing for me was, that they were very accessible, but they were like still this mad band basically. But I mean, like I say, I've seen them. I think I've seen Venom a couple of times in that period. Yeah. So, but I mean, I know you say wow, but I mean, like, being in the UK, I mean, a UK band is going to play the UK, isn't it? You know, I mean, it's always going to think. I also saw them. I remember seeing them. There used to be a lot of sort of alternative music shows as well on, you know, so like on the TV. And I remember them being on one Friday night. I can see them. They're absolutely brilliant, really, because I mean, you know, it was there wasn't really a lot of access to that kind of stuff on the TV. But I mean, that's when I got into them, really. You know, the early, you know, I think it must be about 82 or something like that. But those first 4 albums, well, effectively, those first 4 albums are the best albums they did in my, and that was the band, wasn't it? Once that 4th album was done, and they were just finished, really, weren't they? They went down into that sort of chaotic chaos where they split up and all that kind of thing. But yeah, but I mean, like I say, for me, it was exactly the same as bands like Bathory as well. When I heard them, it was just something that I'd never heard before, and just absolutely bought into straight away. It was brilliant.
Awesome. Chris, I guess you can go next.
I'll let Carl go.
Okay, Carl, go ahead, Carl.
All right. Well, we had a radio station in San Antonio maybe for about a year or two that actually played nothing but heavy metal and hard rock. And I'm guessing maybe 82, 83, I heard In League with Satan on there. And I was like, well, that was fucking killer. That's amazing. What is this? And when they said it, I tried to track it down in record stores, and I finally found some imports, and there was all this Venom stuff there that, like, I'm trying to remember, like Acid Queen and all that. I may have my dates wrong, but I was like,
EP or whatever.
But yeah, and I was like, whoa, there's way more stuff than I realized they had out, and I was just like going every week and like buying something different from them. But I think within those first couple of batches, I think I did get Welcome to Hell. And
wow. What was the name? What was the radio show?
No, I don't remember the radio station's name, but it wasn't Kiss and it wasn't Z-Rock. It was just some station maybe for a year in San Antonio that was heavy metal and hard rock.
Wow. Who was the DJ? Who was the DJ? Do you remember?
I think they actually stole The Godfather for a year or two. Joe Anthony. I know it was like down here, it was like on 106.7 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I would hear like shit like Angel Witch and like Diamond Head on there too. And they would play all the new wave of British heavy metal stuff. It was an amazing radio station.
That's fucking wild for San Antonio.
Yeah, oh, and except Restless and Wild album, I first heard that on there too. So it was a fucking cool station.
Hell yeah. That's fucking wild. All right, Chris, we'll go to you.
Okay, well, I was 11 years old. I had Christmas money that year. The year before that, me and my brother were into buying records for Christmas. We were getting the Who, Rush, AC/DC, you know, all that stuff. Led Zeppelin. Me and my brother started getting records because my older sisters were always collecting records. You know, David Bowie, Grand Funk Railroad, and all that stuff. So me and my brother we were already Kiss fans. So, and you know, everybody in the neighborhood back then was into the Who and Rush and Led Zeppelin and everything, you know, Ramones. And it kind of was like, you know, let's get some records of our own. So we got Christmas money. We went to Wall to Wall Sound and Video. here in Philadelphia. It was a big video outlet record store, but they had a section that was imports, and they had alphabets. I think it went A to I think A to J or A to M. It was categorized up on this big billboard, right? So I was like, okay. I saw in magazine ads, advertisements for Iron Maiden's Beast on the Road tour. And I know that happened in 82. And I remember that being talked about on the radio. So I was like, okay, I'm on the hunt. I already knew who Judas Priest was, loved Judas Priest, because I already had British Steel out. My sister got me that as a gift before. So anyway, a lot in my area in 82, Philly was a very hard, a very rock town. It really was a really rock city. It really was. We had some punk, but most of it was blue collar rock and roll guys. A lot of small little motorcycle clubs because it was an industrial city here. So a lot of that, that's just the way that things were socially here. So things kind of meshed that way. So okay, so I was looking for any Iron Maiden records when we went in there. Okay, I was like, okay, Iron Maiden. I know the band. So I go in there. We're looking around. I go into the import section because that's where they have more of the, that's where they have heavy metal imports. And that's the section to go to in the record store at that time if you wanted to, try to find some things like that. They don't put that stuff out in the display case for sale. You're getting Michael Jackson and everything else out there for that. But so, okay, I go in the import section. I'm looking, thumbing through things. I find Iron Maiden, great. Turn around right behind me, there's Motorhead Overkill. I was like, oh, look at the cover of that. What the hell's this? Because I didn't hear them yet. Picked that up. I was like looking at that cover, and right away I was like, bam, I get that energy. That look, I turn it around. You got Lemmy, Phil, and Eddie there. And I'm reading the songs. I was like, ooh, this looks really good. I mean, this looks AC/DC and the Who and the Ramones, but criminal. They looked real criminal. And that to me was a thrilling thing. It was totally thrilling. I was like, I'm going to take this record home. It looks great. Got the Iron Man. And as I'm going, I'm walking, I see Venom. But the Venom I saw first was black metal because that was there. Sitting right up front. I looked at that. I was like, first thing I thought, I was like, what is that? I picked it up, and you see the goat head. And I went to Catholic grade school. And I knew right away this was satanic. I knew right away. And for us back in them times here, that was an absolute magnet to get. Once you saw something like that, because you didn't want nothing to do with nuns and the Bible and all that other horse shit. We were like, we were Conan the Barbarian, Mad Max kids. So it's like, this is going to be great. This is turn that thing around. When I turned it around, that was the real sell. Because you read all the stage names, turn it around, read song titles, and I'm looking at it, and I was like, the first thing I thought was, this is the Exorcist of heavy metal. This has got to be better than Iron Maiden. This got to be. I'm reading them song titles. I'm like, to hell and back, black metal. I'm like, oh my God, leave me in hell. Don't burn the witch. I'm like, ooh, okay. I was like, I'm taking this bad boy home. This has got to be great. But I was 11 at the time, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this is like, I'm like, just, it is completely alien to me. Never heard him on the radio, never heard him at all. Because back in them times, nobody covered anything like that. At least not that I saw. I never saw any of it. You had to find it by chance in the record store, and they had to have it for you to be able to get it. And the radio station we had here was called Metal Shop on the East Coast. And I think it was based out of New York, but the sister station was 94 YSP in Philadelphia. We used to get that show down here transferred. So we used to hear things, Most of the stuff, it was Iron Man. It was the American soiled stuff, based bands, really. I never heard Venom at that time, in 82. Never even heard him talked about. But anyway, so finding him in the record store was complete. It's like the lightning bolt hit right at the time I had the ability to go out on my own. It's like it connected right away. Boom. It was like that was a line for me. But I got those records home. That's the first one I played. I had to play black metal first. I was like, I got to play this thing first. As soon as I heard that thing, I lost interest in Kiss. I lost interest in The Who. I lost interest in AC/DC and Rush and Led Zeppelin. Not that they weren't great bands, but when you heard that, like Andy said, there was nothing that was the potency of everything that, as me, my energy level of excitement, because I was a pretty raging kid, you know, that was the excitement level I wanted. I mean, okay, I had the comic books, you know, you had all the horror comic books, but here's the music that's going to go with the imagery, that's going to go with kind of the way I feel and how I like to run around out in the street. This is it. So instantly. And then what happens later, a year later, what you get Metallica comes out with Kill 'Em All. Slayer comes out with Show No Mercy. Now I'm finding Merciful Fate. It just, you know, it just went on and on and on. Next, you know, here's Hellhammer, Bathory, Sodom, everybody else. And it just, to me, Venom was Motorhead ×2 because they took all the evil and dark element that Motorhead didn't, and they added that on the power and energy level. And that was just a famous CRONOS quote. Venom's like a brick. You take the brick, you throw it, and it lands, it goes, boom. And that's exactly what that album was like. Never turned back from it, always influenced me. And when all that stuff was new in that time period, as me and my friends, we didn't want nothing less than that no more. We just couldn't. After you hear that, you didn't want nothing less. It had to be that potent. And then the only other things that I saw at that level was, you know, GBH and Exploited and things like that had that, you know, level too. But they didn't really get popular until, you know, about 84, at least in my area, about 84, that all those hardcore bands in England and everything got popular here, just like thrash metal did. But I say it's Venom and Motorhead. Those two bands made our thrash, black, and death metal scene.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, Venom, it has a lot to do with Slayer doing the evil thing, and
Voivod too. Even Voivod quoted them so much as an influence.
Venom's
like big for me too.
They're the catalyst for the scene.
Because if you think of that, I can't think of anybody that was that potent at that extreme at that level on all ends than Venom. I can't think of anybody else. I still can't. Some people have told me, well, Black Sabbath, I'm like, they're not black metal. That stuff was like, it was rock. It was like a stoner rock thing. That's what we called it. That's what we called it. We were kids.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was little, Black Sabbath had zero interest for me because to me, it's too slow. It's too slow. As you got old, when Dio hit that band, then I was like, whoa. You know, nothing against them. They're absolutely a cornerstone in rock and heavy metal, of course. But my background growing up, Led Zeppelin, and Black Sabbath, for me, they missed the boat. They had all this subject matter, but they missed the boat on the energy level. Venom had all that energy level. For me, there was nothing like that. Yeah. There was nothing. Well, it was Exorcist ×10 on just adrenaline dynamite in the veins. There was nothing bigger for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For me, I mean, you guys, you know, a little older than I am. I got into them, and a friend of mine, Ray Rivera, he's responsible for a lot of like me getting to a lot of real extreme stuff in like the late 80s. You know, he was into Venom, Merciful Fate, and all that stuff. You know, when I was like listening to Metallica or whatever, you know, Master of Puppets. I heard like Venom, Merciful Fate, Hellhammer, shit like that from him. This was like late 80s, and back then all we had was cassettes, right? I never bought vinyl that early a young of an age. Everything we had was on cassettes, and I just remember going to his house, and he had like his drawers, instead of having clothes in his drawers or like underwear drawers, that's where he kept his cassettes, right? So he would open up his drawer, and there'd be like fucking, you know, black metal, Show No Mercy, Hell Awaits, you know, all the classic stuff. And he was huge. I mean, Venom was like it to him at that point. And but I remember hearing it was black metal for sure, like the first album I heard from them. And I remember him, if I remember correctly, it's been fucking ever, you know, late 80s. It was probably, I think In League with Satan was his song. It's like the most evil fucking song there is or whatever, you know. So you know, and I'm like, well, you know, what the fuck is this? But I gravitated to it pretty quickly. like right away. Actually, it was just something about the band just grabbed me right away. You know, with Don't Burn the Witch, and obviously Countess Bathory, and all the classic. Buried Alive. I mean, I just remember. I was like, dude, what is this? What is this? You know, they lower me down. You know, it's like, holy fuck, you know, it's like this is just mind blowing for a kid, you know, and
absolutely.
And I'm just, you know, I always credit him like for help me get into, you know, from what like King Fowley calls training brawl thrash to like, you know, like evil thrash or whatever, you know, like the real good shit. But yeah, so now Andy, you mentioned seeing them live several times. When was the first time you actually saw them live?
Do you know what? I was trying to think about this morning, and I actually checked. I actually tried to Google it. Now the only show I could find of Venom was the 1985 one in Birmingham. It was at the Birmingham Odeon, basically back in the mid 80s, 84, 85, even earlier than that. All the big bands used to play the Odeon. It was an old cinema, basically. They used to put shows on.
And Hammersmith, I think.
The same kind of thing, really. Yeah. Lots of seats, you know, big, massive seated cinema in the day, and it wasn't when there weren't shows on. They just you know, you'd watch films there, and then weekends there'd be bands on. So you can imagine, you know, I think I saw Metallica there, and lots of other punk bands, Public Image, Stiff Little Fingers. But I googled it, and the one show that I do remember, because I can't remember the other show, I think it might have been somewhere down in London. We went to see them. Was 1985. It was Venom, Exodus, and a band called Chariot. And but yeah, it was just brilliant show. Obviously, you know, they were just really full on, you know, sort of like thrash metal basically. But what CRONOS used to do is about, I can't remember when it was, halfway through the show, he'd do this ridiculously mad bass solo where
hell yeah. I love that shit.
And it was just, looking back on it, it was just the bizarrest thing you'd ever think of, but it just worked. You know, literally, all he did was he was stood there like just twanging, yeah, with loads of reverb on it. But the one thing that I always remember being a drummer was ABADDON had this riser, and it was hydraulic, and basically. I can't remember what part of the show it was, but basically this riser lifted up with loads of sort of like fireworks coming from below it. So it's sort of like, you know, just so he's still, you know, and it looked absolutely brilliant. It just went up, I mean, obviously it went up about 5 foot or something, nothing spectacular, and then come back down. But at the time, it just looked absolutely brilliant. But I mean, they were just one of those bands that just as soon as they started, everybody just went mental, basically. You know, it was absolutely brilliant. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean that's the one time. But I know I saw them twice, but I can't for the life of me remember the other time I saw them. But yeah, they are a great live band, basically. Yeah. All they were, I should say.
They were a game changer, man.
They were always showmen from like the very beginning, which is they were never. I think they were never like an opening act for anybody. They went from like, you know, forming a band to basically like headlining gigs or whatever. They were like they almost had like a Kiss persona, you know, on stage.
Well, that's a Manson influence, Francisco. He said Kiss was one of their big influences for stage.
Oh, I mean, it's obvious. Yeah, to me, it's I mean, it's pretty obvious if you know anything about the band and
imagine if they had Kiss's money back then when they wanted to do the stuff that they were doing. Shit.
Yeah. I mean, just watching
real bazookas and shit going off.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, obviously here in the U.S., unless you were like on the East Coast in like the, I guess, early to mid 80s. You may have seen him. So Carl, I don't know when was, maybe you did see him. I don't know.
No, I didn't see him. But I remember getting Kerrang and always just seeing those great articles of them way back when they would full color stage shots with all the fireworks, or even the the graveyards and all that stuff. They just had the greatest imagery to sell their album. So you're like,
no
it
doubt,
all worked together, man. It's like, this is what I wanted in heavy metal when I was like Chris was saying earlier, everything was cool, but it just wasn't quite what you expected of it until you saw Venom and heard Venom, and then like, yes. And then like everybody else came after that.
They're considered a new wave of British heavy metal band, right? They kind of,
but I've always been told,
but nobody sounded like them. I mean, all those other bands have similarities, but Venom was just like, it was just like you said, Motorhead, but just like, just evil and like level. more just extreme. Wild. It was just, it was extreme.
It was satanic chaos.
Are they the first extreme
our imagery?
Would they be the first extreme metal band?
I would think so.
Yeah, especially with
that's my opinion. That's why I grew up. I can speak for me and my friends growing up. There was nothing like it till we saw it. We heard Venom, and then seeing that they first time seeing them was only on the Ultimate Revenge video cassette with Slayer and Exodus. That's the only time me and my friends got to see them. That was it. That video cassette. It was huge to have that. We would watch that thing over and over and over. And it's like, my God, witching hour come on. And it's just, that video is that's definitely one of my top 10 heavy metal videos I watch a lot. And all my stage imagery of doing Goreaphobia and Bloodstorm and all, it comes from, most of it comes from 4 bands. It comes from Venom, Nasty Savage, Voivod, and Motorhead. For me.
So was the first time you saw him live at, I guess you played with him technically, right? At Milwaukee Metal Fest?
Who, me?
Yeah.
For Absu and Bloodstorm. That was was it
97?
97, 90. Yeah, that was, I did Bloodstorm and Absu that year. I got to see it. That's the first time I got to see those 3 guys up on stage together. Because even though they did play in New York City, back in those days, I was only 14, I think, when they were over here, or 15. I think may have been 86 with the Cro-Mags. That might have been it when they were in New York, and I was 15. And back in it, I didn't have no car license at 15 in Philadelphia, 206 miles away. I'm like, I can't get there. I'm 15. How am I getting in that club? And I'm not getting. And all most of the older guys here, they were into like Motley Crue and Striper and Rat and Twisted Sister and all that stuff. Nothing the matter with that, but most of the older guys weren't really into the Metallica, Slayer, and Venom and stuff, and Saxon and all that. It was mostly from 16 down. Anybody that was 17 and up was more into Motley Crue, and that was the hot thing. It was all that. That kind of. Most of them were.
What do you remember about that show? The seeing them for the first time.
I got to meet Kronos and shake his hand and talk to him for probably about 10 minutes. I talked to him.
Yeah.
And I just thanked them for taking the step that those guys did. I said, you guys were the game changer. I told him, I said, if thanks to what you guys did at that time period, you changed the map of the extreme music world. You guys brought that a reality. In my opinion, there was nothing until you guys came on when it came to that level of energy in music. You guys brought everything that I always wanted when I was young. And he just shook my hand and said, thank you so much for saying that. And I was like, it's just history for me. It's what it was. Yeah. That's what it was for me. There was nothing like it. And I said, I'll listen to your music forever. I can remember all your songs. You guys play music that's simplicity and brilliant, but is powerful, extreme. It's everything I always wanted in an energy level as a young teen in the city I grew up. And he just thanked me for it. He's really glad that, he influenced me in that way. And he was nice. I didn't suck up the guy's time too much because I'm sure everybody wants to talk to him. I'm sure, especially, I think most people didn't get to meet him, Like I said, unless you were in New York in 85 and 86, I think it might have been 86 when they were in New York. I'm trying to remember. And I don't think it was 86 when they did the show in New York for the Combat Tour.
Yeah, with Metallica.
But yeah, they did that. But they did Exodus and Slayer and all when they were filming that. But there was no Mantas.
Yeah, they had some other guys.
Remember, there was no Mantas. And I just thought that was weird. I'm like, why the hell wasn't he here for that? It was apparently, I don't know if this whole something. The only thing I ever heard about that was he wasn't around for some legal reasons. He had criminal something on a police record or something that couldn't let him in the country. I don't know how true it is. I only heard he wasn't able to go over here for some work visa thing, or he had something by the law or whatever. But I think 86 would have been the only time I could have ever got to see him. It just never happened because everybody went to New York. They barely came to Philadelphia. New York was the spot to go to because
of course.
Most of the older people could just take the train from here and just go up into Manhattan. When you're a young kid, you just don't have those abilities, man. You're out on your own. It's Shoe Leather Express. Your feet do the walking, and that's it. But it's 97. It was great. It was a great show. Seeing them three up there was monumental. I'll always remember it. When they blew off the pyros, I felt it. I was standing there with Ray and Mike from Atsu. All three of us, and Russ was there too. But I was standing right next to Mike. Me and Mike Kelly. When it blew up, we were going, "Whoa, man!"
Wasn't that indoors? Wasn't that indoors too?
Yeah, it was up on the. I think it was on the third floor of that Eagles auditorium. It was
still had the massive pyros.
Oh.
Yeah, it was great. They played all the great stuff. It was great. That's those three guys are the magic. No offense against any other lineups of them guys, but the truth of it is, once Kronos was out, it was not the same Venom for me. It just wasn't. Nothing against Demolition Man, nothing like that, Tony. I know he's a good fill for what it. But when you first hear them, and it's those three, it's that magic. It's just written in the stars. It would have been strange for anybody else who would have been in Motorhead. It was strange when Eddie left Motorhead. It was strange, because he left because of Wendy O. Williams' involvement with Lemmy. It's strange when those guys that you love what they do, you love them so much. And I know for me and my friends, we really took it to heart when bands changed or certain when left. Because they're the ones that got you into everything. And now those guys, one or two of them ain't there no more. It's like, you felt it disappointed you. At least for us, it was me and my friends. It disappointed us.
I think
especially somebody like Cronus not in Venom no more. It was really disappointing. And his solo album when it came out, I wanted to like it, but it just it had to have Mantas and Abaddon for me. Maybe I'm a snob. So be
I think it's a more of an old school mentality, what you're talking about. Like,
because
there weren't as many bands back then, so when someone did leave a band like that, it was a major deal because they made such magic together, and that chemistry has. Yeah, you didn't want to see them go. Yeah.
Now something I guess I brought up at the beginning. I'm guessing they were probably the first also to use their pseudonym, their stage names or whatever. Can you think of any other band that did anything kind of like that before, the Grandmaster of Hades and Mayhem? And I mean, who did that?
I don't know. I can't think of nobody because I remember everybody started getting nicknames like Sodom and Hellhammer until the and all that right after. Yeah, and I get that. It's cool. It's a cool thing, and it was new. It's part of the excitement. But I can't think of nobody else that. I mean, Fast Eddie Clark's just a nickname. Filthy Taylor was just Filthy Animals.
Yeah, but like statements. Your name is like.
I mean, Lemmy. If you want to get too technical, I mean, his real name was Ian.
Well, yeah,
Lemmy.
But he wasn't the rabbit captor of bestial.
Yeah, we're talking horror. We're talking real, true grit horror names here. Satanic names.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I can't think of nobody. I can't. Andy, can you? Because I can't think of any.
No, I was going to say, off the top of my head, it wasn't until bands like, I suppose, I don't know, Mayhem and things like, the black metal scene came up, did it, you know, a few years later. But with the with the nickname thing, especially with a lot of the English bands, there is a tendency over in the UK. People do tend to get nicknames. It's like with me, Andy Whale. Everybody just called me Whale, but everybody I knew seemed to have a nickname. So I think that's, you know, like with Filthy Phil Taylor and all, you know, that kind of thing. It's just a case of most people in the UK, it's just a habit. People end up getting nicknames, really. I mean, to be honest, a lot of the people I knew back in the late 70s and 80s, I didn't even know what their names were, really, their proper names. Because I just knew them, you know, like Stick out of Doom, or
Doom,
you know, like one of the other lads, Zoss. You know, it was. I never knew what their proper names were for years. Yeah, Lego as well. I mean, now you think, you know, I mean, so everybody just had nicknames, really. You know, like Lego out of Deviated and all that kind of stuff. But like you say, the first sort of like people that actually, I think Venom and that kind of were probably the first who actually picked sort of like, as you can say, I suppose, stage names, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing is with Venom as well for me is because with the UK back in the early 80s, late 70s, it was a really doom and gloom time for the UK, because obviously we're in recession and there was massive unemployment as well. I mean, so like bands like Venom, when they started coming up, and Slayer, you know, for us, it was just something completely different and theatrical, and just off the, you know, it just a different level, really. It was, you know, so but also as well, when you, I mean, like you look at bands like you know, like Venom saying, you know, Kiss are a sort of like big influence on them for the stage show, all that kind of thing. It always goes along with that sort of that sort of like UK mentality as well, where they seem to do it on a smaller and cheaper scale. But with Venom, sort of like got away with it. But as much as it was brilliant, it was really cheesy as well. But that was part of the enjoyment of it. Do you know what I mean? You know, like CRONOS' bass solo. You look back at it and think, it was rubbish, but at the time, when you're in front of it, it was just brilliant. Do you know what I mean? It was just, you know, like Venom. I always say, like bands like Venom and bands like Bathory, it's sort of like just changed my musical, you know, outlook completely. But that was a whole. But it was still had that. It still seemed to have that sort of like. They didn't take themselves too seriously in a way. They did it. They had fun doing it. Do you know what I mean? That was a great thing that I loved about it. You know, it was a bit cheesy, and it was a bit. It was cheesy, and it was a bit in parts. It was a bit rubbish, but it was attainable, and you know, you could feel that you were part of it, and also as well, you know, you could pick up an instrument and you could do something like that. And I mean, in a way, for me being in Bolt Thrower, it was bands like that and Slayer that they're the reason why Bolt Thrower started, really. Do you know what I mean? Because we were listening to punk music, we saw that and thought, do you know what, this is brilliant, and went away and sort of like, you know, did our version of that, really. But you know, bands like that, because I was lucky enough being, I'll be 58 this year. I mean, lucky enough, I got to see so many brilliant bands back in the mid 80s and early 80s. You know, like sort of like Slayer, you know, the first time they played, Metallica, first time they played the UK, you know, and like I say, Venom as well. And they're just brilliant. But I mean, as in where bands like Slayer, first time I saw Slayer, they were like just this wall of sound. Venom always were, they seemed to come from nowhere. And like you say, they were just this big stage act, weren't they, really? It's weird how they sort of like, you know, they sort of like got that whole sort of like persona worked out as if before they actually did the band. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, they sold it well. I mean, the whole imagery. I mean, again, nobody was doing what they were doing. I mean, obviously they had to pick up influence from somewhere, but nobody was that extreme. What, 1980 or whenever they got going, 79, 80, and it was just like, I mean, as a kid, you look at it and like, this is like, it's just like unreal. It's like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. It didn't make any sense, but it made sense, if that makes any sense. But
yeah.
But it was just like, it was just so wild, and I don't know, man. They just, everything about him. It was like a perfect package. Like, it just all came together. You know, the music, the stage show, the imagery, the lyrics is another thing. I mean, I know people's you know, satanic lyrics are, you know, kind of corny or whatever, but they had a way of writing lyrics that were, it wasn't like I don't know, they were cool lyrics to me. You know, I don't know what you guys felt about their lyrics, because it was like, you know,
it was an influence, because I didn't see anybody else writing like that, not at that time.
No. Yeah, obviously it became it was
like reading a horror movie script. Really, what to me it was. That's how I took it. It was like reading a horror comic, but in music. I'm like, wow, you know, it's potency, but it went. It's like it had like a hard, that punk, that really gritty punk rhythm and rhyme to it, but it had the dark cloud of horror movie content. And then you just had all of it together, and then you had like the over the top, like the Who and Kiss, and it was just boom. And the whole thing was absolutely brilliant, and right at that time level. I envy, you know, Andy and guys like him, because you got to be there when that stuff happened. I only wish, being in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1982, we had anything like that. We had a bunch of car theft and gang fights and that kind of bullshit. We didn't have good shows. But you know, but you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to make, you know, fun of the geographical situation here, but
yeah,
you guys had such a brilliant. I think England as a whole have such a great, brilliant appetite for music in all genres. I mean, that's where everybody went. I mean, you got Susie Quattro left the United States to go over there. Mickey Most took, and she became great. Chrissy Hine from the Pretenders made her career there. There's so many people that would leave. I mean, AC/DC got to make their career going to England on and off. They put them on the map more. Everybody hit. You probably know the old great whistle tests and all that stuff. And what else was another show? Was it something called the Beat Club? They used to show the Who and the Stones and all that stuff on, like the black and white programs and all that.
There was quite a lot. There was quite a lot of well, I mean, like the old grey whistle test was always good for the time. I mean, but I was just trying to think about it really. You had shows like Word and I can't remember what they were called, but even when you used to get a lot of stuff on, like, I don't know if you've ever watched The Young Ones as well, you know, like that comedy show.
Absolutely.
You know, that was a way that, in a way, that was a way that we got, like, you know, like Motorhead. But you just get to see music over here on the maddest places, really, because we used to have a show over here called Tiswas. It was like a kids' Saturday TV show for kids. You know, it was on at 9. It was on 9 till 11 at morning on a Saturday morning, and like you used to. One week you'd have the Clash on it, and like you just and then one week they had 1 week outside in the car park from the TV studio. They built this big massive stage, and Motorhead did a show for the, like, you know, it was just bizarre. But I mean, the thing is with the UK, it's always been brilliant for alternative stuff, really. I mean, you know, there's always been shows that have been on there. I mean, like, say you had, I've sort of been many years ago when they're on one of the, I can't remember what the shows, on Friday or Saturday night, And but it's always had an appetite for music. I mean, even the radio, you know, you had Tommy Vance doing the rock show on a Friday and Saturday night. You know, you could always listen to, you know, you'd always get like Venom and Metallica, all that in the 80s. And then you had John Peel as well, who did the punk stuff. So you just had a really good, a really good mix of places to listen to music, really. But the other thing as well is that with the UK, it's sort of like not that big, really, is it? Do you know what I mean? So you know, you can sort of you know, you can do 5 or 6 shows, big shows, and you know, you've done the whole country, really. So, but I mean, like I say, we're quite lucky. We've always been quite lucky. I mean, I'd say I'm quite lucky to, but, you know, because I started. I think the first shows I went to were maybe '79 when I saw Discharge, you know, and then went all the way through. You know, you'd have like Top of the
GBH,
Pops
Exploited.
Yeah. Well, but coming from Birmingham, I saw GBH quite a few times. Bands like Drongos as well, Drongos for Europe. And then it just moved on and moved on and moved on. And then obviously with the metal shows, they were not, because they were normally bigger bands anyway. You know, there were venues we didn't really go to, so that was quite good going down to London as well. I think you know, sort of like I think I saw the first, what was it, Possessed, Voivod and English Dogs as well. That was a good show.
Oh, wow.
But that was just
That's not fair.
Yeah, that was just the sort of thing you'd see. It was brilliant. Even to the latter days, you know, the later 80s, like with the Grind Crusher tour. You know, there was always great stuff going on. Always great stuff, and like you say, bands always wanted to come to the UK as well, because you always get a good reception, because the UK has always been really big on music anyway. You know, all stuff. You know, the British love music. You know, when it comes down to it. But you know, there's a there's a massive thing for sort of like, you know, like heavier and more extreme music. It's great, but there again, there was a point when Birmingham really I don't know when it was. It was a bit late in the late 80s or early 90s when Birmingham really died a death, and none of the bands really came to Birmingham. They all went to a city quite close, Wolverhampton. But it stood it stood the steady time, and so it's. But yeah, I mean, me personally, I've been quite lucky, really. I've seen a lot of bands when they were first started, you know, sort of, and it's great to see a lot of them still going. I mean, it's a shame that like back to Venom anyway, that they ended up, now that they're sort of playing as 2 different bands, aren't they, in a way, sort of like, you know, I mean, we played with Venom Inc. a few years ago, and I mean, great band, but they're just not the same, are they? Do you know what I mean? It's back to that thing where.
I hear you. I want to like it.
Yeah,
I think
it's
Go ahead.
Oh no! I was just going to say, sometimes, you know, when I think you know, when bands split up too much, it just doesn't work. And although when I saw them, you know, I liked them. It's just not the same as the old days, really. When, you know, but I think in a way, you know, I mean, that's just you know, the memory is sort of like you've got of those bands are so,
it was
you know, so good. It's hard to sort of, it's just, in some way I wish that the bands would just knock it on the head and sort of like do something else. Do you know what I mean? But there again, I can understand for a lot of people, it's, you know, it's an income, and the other thing as well is it's something they enjoy. So, you know, I mean, but that's just my view. Do you know what I mean? I'll probably get mad about it, but
I agree with you.
I think Mantas recently said that he would not be opposed to getting together with ABADDON and CRONOS to do something, because he's been I think he's been trying since like 2020, but obviously a lot happened that year. You know, 40 years of Venom or whatever. I recently heard him mention that he would be really into doing that. So there's that. I mean, you know, so it's not like they're never kind of thing, but He did say he
Yeah.
would be really into doing something with those two guys again. So that'd
Yeah.
be cool. I mean, I don't know what it would
But
be
there,
like.
there again, I mean, there again, after all these years, though, would it be the same? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know.
I agree
but,
with
know,
you,
I mean,
Andy. I think the same things all the time. When I see these logos of all the bands that I loved growing up, and you only know there's one member in the band original, and they were on 1 or 2 albums that were probably the best, and everybody else is 20 years, 30 years younger. It's
Yeah.
I always
How's
say,
that work?
why
Yeah.
not just do a whole new band, taking the things that you already learned and bringing it onto the table with these new guys, make it a whole new thing. It still is you. Even what you did back in the 80s, it's still you because that's your personality. That's what's inside of it. Just make it something new. I mean, selling a logo, I mean, without original members, and like you say, our music is really, it's extreme. So it's your body's got to be able to do it and keep up, and your memory, because it's quick. It's a lot of things. So like you say, if you're out of that game for a very long time and trying to do it again, could really trip things up or make things worse than they were. I'd rather enjoy the memory and enjoy it for what it is, appreciate it, and 100,000% get back behind any guy from any of those bands and say, I'm still in music and I'm doing it, and this is my new band, but it's in light of what I've done in such and such. I think makes more sense to me, and it's a lot more easy to swallow as a fan from the band they come from than saying, here's this band. Oh, I was in this band. This was the, I don't want to pick on anybody's band, but an old band everybody loves, one original member, one good album, and then you got 3 or 4 other guys in the band that completely new, they don't even really know anything much about the band history, but the logo's on the fest and they sell it, and bam, $150 to go see them.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. It's a cash grab.
It's not a sale for me. It's kind of, I mean, I'm always going to want to do my music, and like you, Andy, you're doing other bands too. You're moving on with what you love to do. You're just doing it in under a different banner. Yeah. I don't think there's no shame in that, because it's still you. What you're going to do is going to be you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
But I agree with you.
I got a question for you guys. So I guess we'll start with Carl. If somebody's never heard Venom before in their life, what song would you tell them to go listen to?
Oh, I've done this.
Oh, this is tough. Wow.
I mean, I know mine already, but I'll start. I'll give you a little time. I'll give you a little time to think about it. Mine would definitely be the 7 Gates of Hell. To me, that's like the ultimate Venom song. It's got everything in it. It's got the creepy little intro at the beginning. It's got CRONOS just going all over the damn song. It's got the amazing outro. It's got riffs. It's got the really cool lyrics to that one. 7 Gates of Hell to me is like, I would listen to this song. If you don't like this song, just don't even worry about listening to any other Venom fucking songs, because to me that's my favorite fucking Venom song, and I would say go there. So Carl, do you think of one?
If we're going favorite, I like live like an angel, die like a devil.
Hell yeah.
I like the lyrics. I like the double. It's fast, but it's not like blinding fast. It's a cool song. And CRONOS, it's the way he delivers it. It just sounds cool. So that would be my pick.
Gonna burn in hell. Hell yeah. Andy?
I don't know. I mean, I'd go towards, I'd say, probably one of my favourite one would be black metal. I think that I just love that. What is it? That lyric? Lay down your soul for the the way.
God's rock and roll. Black metal. Yeah, hell yeah.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'd go for something like that. But there's loads. It's a hard one to choose, really, isn't it? But
Yeah. Chris?
Well, I have a big 4 when it comes to Venom songs.
Oh shit.
And I've actually told my neighbors on my street, they asked me when they saw me wearing my Venom shirt, and I said, there's 4 songs I suggest you listen to. Senile Decay, Hounds of Hell, Warhead, and Witching Hour.
Damn.
Yeah,
but the first one I would pick would be Senile Decay. And I told him, get this album and play it.
Oh, yeah, from Here to
It's
the
on
Unknown, yeah.
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 Senile, I mean, when I listen to that song loud, those 4 songs loud, it thunders the walls right through the brick and the mortar, just shake. I actually put my hands on my wall when I play them songs loud, and I can feel the mortar in that wall move. Venom and Motorhead are the only 2 bands that do that to me. Now, provided you turn it up real loud, almost anything's going to fucking do that. But those 4 songs are my big 4 Venoms. But Senile Decay, I probably would say, really is super potent song that just wasn't on the official releases. And Hounds of Hell, too.
Yeah.
But Warhead is just such a powerful song. But not me, Witching Hour. Just Witching Hour.
Starting off with the bass.
Just, yep. And it was because it's really because that's the first time I seen them on video was the Ultimate Revenge.
Yeah.
You know, the video Witching Hour. Boom. That's really thunderstruck in my head.
Yeah, that video and the Hell at Hammersmith video are the ones that just used to watch a lot. You know, it's just on stage and just being total badasses on stage and just like, you know, getting the like Andy said, getting the crowd, like making the crowd feel like they're a part of the show. You know, Mantas is like the, you know, you know, yelling into the crowd.
Wearing his ninja gi, he's got this karate ninja gi outfit on and all. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of him, not many people can pull off a band photo on the back of an album sitting on a fucking motorcycle like he did on the back of fucking black metal. So yeah, they're just, I mean, they could, seems like they couldn't do anything wrong back then, you know. Just
the stars were right for them. Everything they did, they were the ones. Everything aligned exactly to those personalities.
Everything starts with Venom.
I think they had a good comeback album too with Cast in Stone. You remember that one?
It was exciting. I have it on vinyl.
Yeah, that was
the '97 album. That was, I think, did Nuclear Blast put that out?
I don't remember.
I have no idea.
Good.
But I remember Nuclear Blast Office holding it, and that's where I got my vinyl of it from. Yeah, it was hard to say. I think. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it was definitely a good comeback album.
Compared to most
at least
comeback
with the 3
records.
of them, you know.
Yeah.
You know what though? I always say a most underappreciated album is always Possessed. Almost nobody talks about that album. And to me, that album lyrically is really great. It's extreme. I think it's has an extreme charm to it.
Well, that's the last great record of them too.
Yeah, and then so actually before we get to that, at War, it's hard to write a song that's 20 minutes long and not be boring 1 second. To me, At War with Satan is that fucking song. It's like it's just like it's a journey basically. The song just takes you on a journey, and it just builds up and gets better, and then kind of calms down, and it's the fun. It's actually, it ain't boring to listen to either. Not at all. It's not boring at all to listen to. It's not. I thought it would be when I did see that. I was like, wow, 20 minutes long, really? I was like, this is like Rush Hemispheres, you know. I'm like, yeah. You know, because Rush was the only other band that could pull that kind of stuff off. You know, but hearing it from an extreme heavy metal band like that, that's, you know, satanic black metal, and doing it, it's not a boring song. No, at first I'm like 20 minutes, fuck. Yeah, no, it's great. It goes by. It's like a soundtrack, basically. That song. It was a great job. Oh man, it's amazing. I mean, what do you, I mean? Some people I've heard they say that Venom was overreaching on that song, and they. I don't know, but I think it's a great song. What are your guys' opinion on it? It's great.
I thought it's killer.
It's great. I didn't know nothing like it besides Rush that did songs that long.
Go ahead.
Great.
Andy.
Hey.
Uh-oh, did he freeze? Oh, Andy, can you hear us?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
I was going to say that song. I mean, that album is a great album. That track, like I say, it works. It's there's only certain bands that could probably get away with it, and they're probably one of the bands that could, aren't they, really? But I think as well, you know, I mean, it's something completely different, isn't it? Really, it's many songs in one, in a way, isn't it? So I think that's
exactly.
That's what keeps it. That's what keeps it interesting, because it's effectively just songs intermingling with other ideas, isn't it? So I think that's what keeps it interesting.
Yeah,
but it is a great. Yeah.
I always thought it'd be cool to see them play that song live, but make it like just a complete stage show of that song. You know, like you're watching a play.
Monitors and stuff. You mean like in the background? They could do it now because they have the technology. So yeah, would be cool. But those three guys doing it. CRONOS, ABADDON, and MANTAS.
Yeah. I mean, you have Genocide on there, and what else?
Cry Wolf, Rip Ride, Bursting Out. No, Bursting Out was on them.
Bursting Out. That's another song. That's every time I put it on, I'm like,
Women, Leather,
don't
and
come
Hell.
near me. Don't come near me, man. Hell has granted me 3 wishes, man.
Yeah. Life, death, and immortality.
Yeah, man.
Rode the wings of darkness. Fuck the blessed.
What about that? The packaging for At War with Satan was great too. That
the
gatefold that opened up.
I have mine, but yeah, if you have yours, let's
show
see
it, Chris. That's great.
Yeah.
Remember this?
Oh.
Whoa.
Here Lies Venom.
No, what is that?
The Here Lies Venom box set.
No, I never got it.
You probably got it, don't you, Andy?
Nah. I've got 4 Venom albums, and then they're the first 4 ones. So I've got a couple of mine. You've got that one. I've only brought a couple down.
Look,
so you've got the 81. Welcome to Hell.
Oh hell yeah! The original.
Born in 1980.
Hell yeah!
But it has all 3 of the albums in it, and it has a picture disc. So you got Welcome to Hell, Black Metal, At War with Satan, right in the sleeve, and then you get the American Assault.
Oh, I'm glad you pulled that out. Well, I mean, who else but Venom could do that also? Like Canadian Assault, French Assault,
all of them.
All of them. I mean, who else would do that?
I don't know.
What they do, they put like some studio songs and like some live stuff on all of them. But everybody still wanted them.
The only one I need to get now is Japanese Assault. I got all the rest. The official Neat Records. Now I know there's a Belgian Assault out there, but I don't think it's an official one from back in the day from Neat Records.
Oh.
But I think I finally got Italian Assault. That I got 3 years ago. I finally found it. The real one too, not that reissued shit. This is the real one.
Wow, hell yeah, that rules.
That's the real one.
Yeah, I don't have that. I think I may have American Assault. And
I think that's the real one because that's Road Racer. I think put it out later.
Number 2.
But what's it got on here? It's got Side A, it's got Black Metal, Nightmare, Too Loud for the Crowd, Bloodlust, 7 Gates of Hell. And the live one for 7 Gates of Hell was performed on, what's this, Open Air, August 14th, 1985. And then side B, Too Loud for the Crowd, Nightmare, Die Hard, At War with Satan, demo version of At War with Satan, it says. And it says they're all from 1985. If you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but there is the track listing. I'm trying to get it so you can see it a little bit.
Hold on. There we go. Oh, yeah. I can see it now. Die Hard!
Yeah, but I was trying to get this for the longest time, and I finally found it, and I'm like, the only one I need to get now is the Japanese Assault, and that is out of my price range right now. all this pandemic bullshit and supply shortage garbage that the government's tanking on everybody in the U.S. and I don't know where I can't speak. the price just. I'm like, I can't afford it, man. I want it, and I can't. I'm like, I can't do $300, but it's the last one I need for my collection. It's the Japanese Assault.
Yeah.
And I want the real one. I don't want no reissued shit of Venom. I want the real shit. I do. Nothing against reissues. It's fine. It's cool. I'm all about keeping the music alive. I really am. But for me, I'm like, I want the original stuff, because the reissue, I see it. It's awfully expensive. Some of the reissue stuff, isn't that? It just doesn't seem like, you know, for it being a reissue, it seems like it's a lot more expensive to get that than it is the real thing. I don't know what I've been saying. I don't know about you guys, but I just go for the original stuff if I can get it, because the reissues all seem expensive.
Yeah. So Possessed. I mean, I think it's a good album. A lot of people, I guess,
you're talking about Venom's Possessed, right?
Yeah, Venom's Possessed. Yeah. I mean, the title track is just, it's one of the, that's one of their best songs, you know.
I know, I love it.
Let me, you know what? Yeah. So talk about the album. What your opinion is, Carl? We could start with you.
Oh, yeah, Possessed is, to me, like the last of the great Venom albums of the original lineup, and I mean, they got the classic "Too Loud for the Crowd" on there. And what was that other one? R, just R, and make all the noise and all. I love that one.
Oh, that's off of At War with Satan.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I thought it was on Possessed. Yeah, Chris.
You, me?
Yeah.
What about me?
Oh no, just talk about it.
Oh,
what you like about it?
Oh, what about Possessed? Well,
yeah.
God, I mean, Power Drive. I mean, and it just rips in there. Come on, let's get ourselves out of here. Love it. Power Drive is.
Yeah, Power Drive, Fly Trap, Satanicus.
Oh yeah, Fly Trap. But yeah, I mean, moreover, so it's more the song Possessed itself is very. To me, I'm like, wow, this is probably to me it was the darkest track they ever wrote.
The lyrics,
my opinion, when it came to the sound and the lyrics, just the way that the production sound is for that song, it sounded very dark to me. It's probably the darkest Venom song from the classic trio lineup.
I mean, the classic lyrics, right? The classic lyrics of that song?
I just think it is. The way that it starts out, it creeps. It's really, it's very guttural, heart-wrenching kind of horror. It's for that time period here. Yeah, that song really. I thought it was a very good, dark, demented song for Venom.
Hell yeah. Like I said, born of evil. Dust and fire, look at me, Satan's child.
God, I mean, yeah.
Well, another thing Venom did, looking at the Possessed record, Abaddon, instead of saying drums, it was World War III.
World War III, yup.
CRONOS, volcanic vibrations and death breath, and MANTAS, martial mayhem massacre. Yeah, there you go. That's the one.
You know, I have a postcard of that. Let's see.
And then
still stuck.
Warhead.
I got this at down the Jersey Shore one time. They had postcards for heavy metal and rock bands.
Yeah,
and it's an actual postcard.
Sweet.
From that time period. Let me see if it has a date on it.
From Venom with Love.
It says it's made in England. But yeah, it's like there's where is it? The little license date or the little identifying ledger up there. But yeah, I don't know. Limited press. I have a Celtic Frost one too for Morbid Tales. But yeah, I always kept that. I never used it. My Venom postcard.
This is the only Assault I have left.
Oh, the French Assault.
It's got Nightmare. Nightmare is one of the great songs too.
Yep. I got that sucker right here.
Yeah, this was great. This one was great. It had Nightmare, Bloodlust, and Nominee Satanis. Man, come on.
Yeah.
Countess Bathory Live, Power Drive, and Bursting Out. Man.
Yep. We covered Carl. Do you remember the Venom tribute I'm trying to remember I think it was Necropolis Records did it out in California.
Oh, yeah, Venom tribute, yeah.
Remember the Venom tribute? We did Satanicus. Were you guys on it? Thornspawn?
No, I don't think so.
I'm trying to remember who all was on that. But we did Satanicus as the cover, as the Venom cover for the tribute.
My hardcore band covered a Venom song live too. So that's how much you know. Andy, did any of your bands ever do Venom covers like in practices or anything?
No, I've never done a Venom cover. So
man.
Yeah, the only ones we've done anywhere near that was the Bathory one we did. But yeah. No,
you did a Bathory? Wait, hold on. What Bathory song did you cover? And what band was it?
Oh, for God's sake. I've gone frigging blank now. No, I can't remember. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Me and no, it was just a couple of lads over lockdown. There was Mick Carey from Zylok Colts, who's doing Death Collector with me now. There was Jason Walton from Agaloth. He did a little bit on it, and what was it? I can't even remember now. Oh, my mind's useless nowadays. But yeah, it's on the only, and like we did a few covers over lockdown just because we're shitless basically. But so I can't remember. But now I've never done. Although I love Venom, never ever done a cover or something like that. Maybe one day. I don't know. Maybe yeah.
A Venom bolt thrower style would have been interesting.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Really, you guys should have did Andy. You guys doing Warhead would have been awesome because the song title.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh, with that.
And a perfect bolt thrower, you know. Yeah.
Even the drum intro is like bolt thrower.
Yeah. So, Oh, that was it. It was Woman of Dark Desire.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it was just complete bloodbuster. It was quite. It's on YouTube anyway, but yeah, I mean, like I say, yeah, yeah. I mean, with bolt thrower, I suppose we just always did bolt thrower stuff. It was never ever. Yeah. So nowadays I'll do a few bits and pieces like, but yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, maybe one day.
I guess we'll start winding it down now. I guess any last words about Venom, and then also after you do that, if you have anything you wanna plug, this is the time to do it. So Carl, we'll start with you.
Well, yeah, I mean, Venom to me is black metal. I hate when I hear people say Venom's not black metal. It's like, oh God, there's no black metal without Venom. Come on. Hang yourself. I don't know. Venom rules. Venom's black metal. I mean, it made me get into this stuff, deeper. So Venom was one of the key ingredients. And I'll plug later. Chris or Andy.
Get Andy.
Yeah, I was going to say for me, Venom are a sort of like great example of how the UK can knock out extreme and take music to a new level, basically. I mean, they're just an absolute great band, and they're always one of those go-to bands for me, and they always will be. Do you know what I mean? There's about 4 or 5 bands that I always love listening to, and Venom are always one of them. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Anything you want to? What's going on with your bands? Anything coming up?
Right. What am I doing at the moment? Right. 2 weeks time. You've got the second Darkened album out, Black Winter. That's out in 2 weeks. Then a month after that, I've got a 12-inch coming out with Jason from Agaloth, which is sort of like a dark war-based ambient 12-inch. It's basically, we're doing it for charity, really. It's just a charity thing that we're selling. I think it's going to be like 100 copies, and all the profits are going to sort of like sort of like the people that are sort of like being affected by the war that's going on in Ukraine. So that's going to do that. And then in a couple of months, the end of July, we're starting recording the first Death Collector album, so which I'm quite looking forward to. We've signed to an American label, so which I won't mention the name. I'll wait for them to start plugging it. But yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, so that's sort of like should keep me going. I don't know, for the next few years or so. I think so.
Hell yeah! Oh look, Abaddon has joined us.
Which one, Hell Venom Legions?
The Barbarian Guardian is here.
You can't talk about Venom without some aviators on. I mean, I forgot.
That's right. That's right.
Never
all
put
right,
sunglasses.
Chris, last words about Venom and anything you want to plug.
Well, I'll just say if it wasn't for me, if it wasn't for Venom doing what they did at the time that they did it, music life for me would have been different. I think it would have been different globally if Venom didn't take the steps they took and did it at that time period. We wouldn't have the Metallica we have, or the Slayer, or the, a lot of the other bands that we really like, the Hellhammers and the Bathories and the Sodoms. We wouldn't have them the way that they are today if it really wasn't for Venom doing what they did in that time period, where nobody else took the step where they did. They stepped into actual unknown, uncharted, uncertain, and undiscovered territories in music and extremity, put together as one thing collectively. They are the innovators of black metal. There was no black metal before Venom. It never existed until they took it. They coined the phrase. They made the sound, the imagery, the attitude, everything about what makes black metal all came from Venom. They were the ones that made it what it is today. They started it. And everybody else that carried the flag very well for them have kept the music alive, and here we are today talking about it. And I'm grateful for the kind of music that we did have, and I'm glad I grew up in the time period that I did. I got to experience some things, at my level, and Venom was always a huge part of my life and my social, as me as a social being, just as much as bands like Motorhead and Saxon and Suzi Quatro. It was Venom's absolutely important to my soul. So
well said.
I'm grateful because they helped shape BLOODSTORM for me and goreaphobia. So long live Venom. From hell to the unknown with them. And for plug wise, I've been working on a new BLOODSTORM album, as at least Carl and Francisca for 3 years, on and off recording with Tim Rowe. So that's going to be out on Barbarian Wrath Records, because Cheryl is taking the flag for heart, and she's keeping those contracts alive, and BLOODSTORM was one of them. So she's putting out the new record. It should be out probably maybe 2-3 more weeks. It's called Cursedness of the Cinder Witch, and it's all based on the storyline of Penguin, a hermit, empty, really demented, pessimistic, narcissistic sort of witch woman. And her deals go south, and life goes south, and she gets turned into the one thing that she was always feared out of her complete debauchery and decadent life. And I wanted to do something along those lines. I've done many occult records. That's basically what I do lyrically. I just wanted to do something that was more on the folklore, and I chose the Penguin, the Polynesian folklore. So,
awesome.
Yep,
awesome. Look forward to that. Carl, plugging anything?
Yeah, I know I talked about it a million times, but it's actually in motion. The PIOUS LEVUS Omega Vortex split album. It's going to be called From the Void Comes Paranormal Death, and Dark Descent and Invictus are doing the vinyl CD, and Gothorn will be doing a cassette. Hopefully we'll get the release date soon. It's fucking awesome. I'm not bragging about my band, but the Omega Vortex stuff is just like Necrobor and old Altars, Morbid Angel, just like on crack. It's so freaking heavy, man. I love it.
That's
And
great, man.
hopefully people like our shit too.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Thank you all. I had a blast. This was cool. Appreciate you guys sharing your stories. I think it went well. My last thing is VENO fucking M.
The greatest.